Hey, how's everyone doing? I'm coming to you from LA in a brutally hot day today. Now, I explained to you what I do in my vintage kits in order to get them ready to take them out and gig them. All right, everybody. So here, I'm gonna show you guys what I play at most gigs and how I prepare my vintage kits when I go out and gig them. So don't be afraid, man. If you got them, play them. Remember, they're not furniture pieces. When these things came out, they were professional kits. There weren't different levels of kits like there are today. So if you got them, play them. And I'm just gonna show you quickly what I do and the gear I take when I play. All right, so we'll start with the cymbals. I play Avidus cymbals. They're the Zildjian Avidus cymbals right there. Sorry guys, it's super hot today, so I'm trying to get this done. Zildjian Avidus, these are about, I don't know, maybe 4, 5 years old, maybe 5 or 6. This is an 18. I play a 19 over here, and I play a 21-inch Avidus ride. And I play K Zildjian Constantinople 14-inch hi-hats. So that's my normal setup. I do have an Istanbul Agop 19-inch China that I use. And I use it a lot when I play like Western swing, when I play flat tire shuffles. If you're not familiar with them, Google them. They're fun. They take a little bit of practice to get them, to get the feel. But once you get the feel for them, they sound awesome. And like I said, I like to include that. A lot of times, instead of a crash, I'll accent that China, and it sounds incredible. This is what I do, okay? When I'm going to play my vintage gear, and this is a hardware that I use. Because obviously, using vintage hardware is a no-go. I use the DW6000 series hi-hat stand. I do like it, and I'm going to tell you why. I dig that one, okay? The chain here is nice and sturdy. There's very little lateral movement. I did have the Ludwig Atlas flat stand version of all of this stuff, but the chain is smaller and it's very sloppy, and I would get a lot of lateral movement. So that was just a big no-go for me. So I switched over to DW hardware, the 6000, and just make sure you know which ones you're getting, because this is a 6000. These are 7000, but they don't have the short legs. They sell some, the ones that fit like the 3 in the bag type of thing. The ultralight ones, these are not it. These have the longer legs. They are aluminum, and they just rock. For my snare stand and my tom stands, I use my Dremel, and I just scribed what it is there. That way it's super easy whenever I set up or someone's setting up for me. And I went with this Gibraltar snare stand because of this, man. This thing is incredible. You loosen this and this thing will tilt in every direction because of this round planetary style setup. And it's just awesome. I'll tell you guys right now, I don't care what you have, what you're playing, lose it and try this Gibraltar one. It is incredible. It makes setting up my snare or my tom super easy. You can loosen it, and there it goes. Look, it goes in every direction possible. Just the one. Oh, let me set it back up again. It's a little straight. I do like to play it at a little bit of an angle because I do play traditional grip and match grip. Right now I'm playing a Ludwig Acrolite from, I think it's 66 or 67. This thing's really cool. It's awesome. I really dig it. But once again, the crown jewel of this whole setup are my snare and tom stand and the Gibraltar brand, and I suggest you guys look for them. I'm telling you, man, from somebody who gigs and gigs and gigs and does a lot of his own setup a lot of the time, that's the best one, man. I do play a vintage pedal, which is a Speed King. All right, if you guys look to the left and to the right of the Speed King, you'll notice that I do not have the traditional Ludwig claws, and that's simply because they get in the way. So if you are going to gig a vintage kit, one of the first things you have to do, guys, is get rid of the bottom 2 claws and substitute them for just modern tension rods, and that'll take care of your pedal. You'll be good to go. You can use either a vintage or a modern pedal. I really like this vintage one. It's super simple. It springs back just right. It's super easy to set up. I dig it. I mean, I know there's a lot of better stuff out there, but this is simple. They work great, and you know, it does a job for me. For my tom, as I mentioned in my last video, this thing's already set up to gig with. There's nothing that I do to it special. I just always make sure obviously my bolt, you know, all the bolts are tight every once in a while when I go to set it up. But other than that, I have no issues with the tom. It's ready to rock and roll. You can play it. Oh, as I mentioned before, because these are my floor tom, it tends to react the most to the heat. So on days like today when it's super hot, I always make sure that I give it one last tune right before I play outdoors, because they do tend to get loose. Once again, I'm using the DW 7000 series flat stands to keep that vintage look. It's also, or chrome over steel, I should say, except for the legs. Those are aluminum, and they look pretty raw. I have them set up. They're super easy, very, very light. All right, guys, for my kicks. Once again, I just make sure that that hardware is on there correctly, nice and tight. And then I put that cleat looking thing up in the front to give me some little extra support to keep this thing from running, and that keeps my bass drum going, and I never have an issue with it. And once again, it is a 1960s kit, right now, a kit from 1960. So, I mean, and I gig it out a lot, guys, and I don't have any issues. My tom, I put it in a stand, the same same style of setup as the snare, and easy. It'll play all day long. Once again, 7000 series. Let me give you a little walk around so you guys can see this. Don't be afraid to play these vintage ones, man. Remember, when they were first manufactured, these were going straight out the door to artists. They weren't doing anything special. It's not like today, guys. Now, if you're playing speed metal or you're playing something crazy, you know, where you're breaking through heads all the time, you know, then you might maybe want to switch over the hardware. And if you don't want to drill extra holes, if you guys haven't heard of this company, I'll post some of their pictures. Indie. I've met the owner a couple times at the Chicago Drum Show. Let me tell you, man, that dude's super cool, and he knows what he's doing. Like, he has all this hardware that you can mount onto vintage equipment so that you can play it and not make any extra holes. And as I've shown you guys, right, on this kit, which is, I've been gigging this kit out for a number of years now, and I've never had an issue with it. All I had to do was really sit back and say, hey, man, okay, this isn't the DW, this isn't the modern Ludwig. Like, what do I, you know, what are the differences? One, obviously the legs on the bass drum. Okay, what do I got to do to ensure that, you know, it doesn't collapse? Obviously, you know, make sure, like I said, that the wing nuts are nice and tight, that everything's level. And then I put that little foot, that little spike looking thing in the front. Problem solved. Obviously, I'm using a modern style throne, a pork pie, which is super awesome. I just wanted to address a lot of the great comments that you guys left on our last video regarding gigging vintage drums. I just wanted to tell everybody, gig them, man, use them.